Good afternoon, everyone. My name's Caroline Cartwright from Hertfordshire Local Enterprise Partnership, and welcome to this live employer webinar delivered through Hertfordshire Opportunities. So this webinar is also in partnership with Hertfordshire Growth Hub. They're the central point in Hertfordshire for anything to do with business support. And then Hertfordshire Local Enterprise Partnership, we do huge amount within skills and careers education. So between sort of us and the Herts Growth Hub, that's got a lot of your business needs supported. And we're funded through European Social Fund there. We're running a project. We've still got some access to that funding until end of December 2023. So we're making the most of that European Social Fund as well. So we have, it's a really informal webinar, probably be around 45 minutes. So if I'm just going to move around my screen, because I can't see my slides. So we can't see you. You can't ask to be promoted to be a panelist. So if you're really dying to say something, to come and talk on screen, please do, just let us know. So, but you do have the opportunity to ask lots of questions and put lots of comments in, perhaps say hello, who you are, and you can do that in the questions tab. So please do send in lots of questions to our panelists. And then, yes, as I said, it's being recorded, and we have a YouTube channel, and we have the brilliant Hertfordshire Opportunities portal. So everything will be put on there after, so you can watch the recording on there after. The webinar today, then, we are actually focusing in on Apprenticeship Levy. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a little bit about what we're doing in Hertfordshire about Apprenticeship Levy and a bit about the process. We're going to hear from some brilliant local employers. So we've got, we'll introduce the panelists in a moment, but we've got Apex here, and Pitney Bowes was supposed to be here. They may not be here. I might have to stand in and be Pitney Bowes. But Angela may be able to get here in time. We've also, we'll go a bit about the broader skills programs in Hertfordshire, and then next steps and what's coming. And also Matt from the Growth Hub is going to have to say a little 30 seconds to a minute at the end as well about Growth Hub support. So introducing the panelists. So are you still there? You are. I can see you again now. So Claire, do you want to say a quick hello?
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Claire Scarisbrick. I am part of Caroline's team at the Hertfordshire LEP as a skills advisor. So my job is to support companies with taking on apprentices and different skills workshops.
And Stuart, hello, how are you?
Hi, so Stuart Hunt, I'm a director at 360 for a sport and physical activity provider. I'm falling apart as we go. But yeah, so we got involved in the apprenticeship scheme more recently.
Perfect, so we'll have lots more questions for you shortly, Stuart. So I'm going to, let me just go back to my screen. I have to move everything around with GoWebinar. So Stuart and Claire, you can turn your cameras off. I've just got like 5 to 10 minutes on just a bit of background on Hertfordshire Opportunities. So before we start and go into the detail of Apprenticeship Levy, I just wanted to give you a bit of an overview of this brilliant project we're running called Hertfordshire Opportunities. We've got quite a big team in the Hertfordshire Local Enterprise Partnership now, working across skills and careers. So the people you'll see there, you've met myself and Claire, and we've also got Philippa Shaw, and we specialise working with employers. But we also have another team working on the Careers and Enterprise Company and the Careers Hub, and we do a lot of work with services for young people, doing a lot of work within education. So we have a huge sort of programmes going on enabling employers to connect with education. So why come and talk to us at Hertfordshire Opportunities? Well, it's really good for us to know you and to know your business. So we take a really good high level view at the business and the business growth opportunities, taking a really strategic look at developing your workforce. And what we do is we sort of make it our business to know everything about all the different funding opportunities. We know all the schools, all the colleges, higher education options, loads about supported employment and sort of local programs, community programs enable you to connect with your local workforce. So even if you don't have a skills need right now, it's really good just come and talk to us anyway, because if we know your business and something comes up, for example, perhaps something going on in the disability confidence scheme, go, oh no, I know that employee needed some support with that, let's get in touch. So we have a really good service to really understand your business and the skills and talent needs that you've got. As I said, we have a lot of access, all the access really to all the funded training programs and development programs that we have available in the county. We make it our business to really understand technical education, just a really, really good, valid and really rewarding career path for young people and adults across the piece. So we know a huge amount about apprenticeships, T-levels, technical education, that whole range of opportunities for work-based learning. And as I said before, we know all the schools, the colleges and the higher education sector and the adult education sector. So we've got that really good ability to connect you with local talent. So that's the Hertfordshire Opportunities Programme. So today we're talking about Apprenticeship Levy. So we've been sort of looking at Apprenticeship Levy. It's been around for several years now, which you all know about. But we really want to seize the opportunity, and now we've got a bit of a bigger team to really pull that levy in Hertfordshire and just make sure that our employers know how they can access it and the benefits that it can bring. So most of you will know on the call that all employers with an annual pay bill of over 3 million since 2017 now have to pay the apprenticeship levy. So some work was done in Hertfordshire County Council, and so it's estimated that just in the public sector alone, that amount is 20 million in Hertfordshire, which is an incredible amount of money. So that's the local authorities, county, police, fire, NHS. So that's the public services. So, and then, you know, it's quite odd that you can't actually pull down the list. I think someone's got their microphone on still, have they? Maybe. I think one of the panelists can hear a bit of feedback. But there is also, you can't pull down a list of all the levy payers in Hertfordshire, but you can kind of take quite an educated guess. So I know, for example, I've seen like the top 200 private organisations with turnovers of more than 14 million. And I know more employers than that with sort of, if you have a turnover about 5 or 6 million, you're probably paying the levy. So it's probably around 300 private sector organisations in Hertfordshire alone paying the levy. So you can imagine the amount of unused funds that might just be going back into central treasury. And it'd be really good to facilitate some work to enable that to come back to our Hertfordshire businesses. So we're looking at sort of pooling that in Hertfordshire and having sort of levy payers across most of our key industries. So, oh, let me just go back. Just bear with there as well. So some of the logos you can see there, they're some of the organisations that we're actively working with at the moment to transfer levy. So we have GSK and Airbus. They're doing work and pledging mainly within STEM industries, but also within their local area and within the health sector and the social care sector. So they're interested in that. We've got Pitney Bowes, who might be able to talk to us later, but I was involved in that project. They're a big transaction technology e-commerce company. University of Hertfordshire as well are transferring, as our Hertfordshire County Council, and that's who Apex worked with. So yeah, we have got a lot of levy payers who have come forward to ask for that support to help transfer their funds to local business. Some of the key points. So in the presentation today, we're not going to go through detailed the process. There's actually some really good YouTube videos on from the Department of Education about the step-by-step of how you set up your apprenticeship service account and how you actually do that levy transfer. So we're not going through the detail of that today. We're sort of going through some of the headlines. But some of the key points is that the funding that you receive from the levy payer, so that is used for training and assessment costs. So that can't be used, for example, for wages or or room hire, for example. It's used for the cost of the qualification, the cost of that apprenticeship. So that is the funding that you would receive from levy payer. Also, a little bit of a headline there on how levy transfer is prioritised. So obviously, as a levy payer, you'd have a look in your accounts and you'd be able to see your forecast of what levy was coming in. So when you're committing to transfer levy to a non-levy payer, you'd need to be comfortable that you had that money in the account. Because some apprenticeship programs, of course, can last 1 year or they can last 4 years. So you need to be comfortable that you have those funds for that 4-year period. But also that if you've committed as a levy payer to transfer funds, then that funding is prioritised before the funding for your own apprentices. So that's important. It just gives that receiving organisation that confidence that the funding will be there to support the apprenticeship. So the benefits of transferring, obviously for Hertfordshire, we want to keep as much of the funding in our local communities, in our local sectors, in our areas. It helps to stimulate demand for apprenticeships. It definitely. I think for a smaller organisation, if you're thinking about apprenticeships, I think if you see a GSK or an Airbus or a Pitney Bowes or a Hertfordshire County Council can support that process, I think it can be the trigger or the catalyst almost to say, right, yes, I'm going to do this now as a small business. I've been thinking about it for years. Let's do this through the levy transfer. Obviously, as a small business, you get it fully funded. I think sometimes with the funding, that's not at all the key advantage, because as a small business, you'd get 95% of the cost of the apprenticeship funded anyway. So through a transfer, you get 100% of it funded. So that makes a sort of big difference when you're looking at degree apprenticeships over 4 years. That's into thousands of pounds you end up saving. But sometimes, it's not really about the 5% difference. It's some of the other benefits you get. I think it's really good for the levy payer to build relationships with their supply chains. We have some examples coming out of levy payers who are distributing out towards their supply chain. That particularly happens in the construction industry, for example. It gives that levy payer the opportunity to say what's happening to their money. Rather that levy, if it's not spent within, I think it's 2 years, just goes back into central government, and it will go back into skills, of course, but we don't know what area of skills. So and helps address critical skills shortages. So it is a good programme to get involved with. Let me go on to the next slide. Right, some of the process. So the Department for Education, they host the systems to do this, the apprenticeship service. They've had lots and lots of feedback to try and make it as easy as possible, because there is admin there, a bit of administrative process, and it's certainly got a lot easier over the years. They have got much more transparency on this now. So as a levy payer, you can publicly declare on a website, which is on that web link there, to say, I have this many thousands of pounds to transfer, please get in touch if you're interested in that. So anyone can go onto this public website and say, they can see a list there of employers that are looking to transfer their apprenticeship levy. So as a receiving organisation, you can go and look at that. I went on that last week, and there's probably about 150 organisations on there. Didn't see many I don't think I saw any Hertfordshire ones actually. So, but that service is there for anyone to see who nationally is pledging to transfer their levy. There's also been a lot of improvements, and the levy payers will be able to sort of be testimonial to this, to say that a lot of work's gone into looking at the finances around it, so organisations can maximise the amount of allowance that they transfer. And also the DFE, the Department for Education, are really supportive of working with intermediaries, and I think that is where we come in as Hertfordshire Opportunities. So an intermediary could be us, Hertfordshire Opportunities. It could also be a training provider. We've had some brilliant projects where the training provider will come in and they'll handhold the levy payer through it. and also those training providers have access to usually SMEs or smaller public sector organisations that really need that funding. So they act as a really good intermediary body as well. But the purpose of the intermediary, and this is where we can help, is to help find smaller businesses, non-levy payers, to receive that money, because often as a levy payer it gets stuck because they haven't got the wide access to lots of smaller businesses. The intermediary can also help with the training needs analysis. They can help determine which right qualifications are for the members of staff. They can look at finding training providers, sharing knowledge on how to set up brilliant apprenticeship programs, sharing resources, making sure that learners receive really high quality experience. They can help with governance checks. You'll find that most levy payers will want to do due diligence around who they're transferring to. So just a bit of a check on that organisation. And also the intermediary can help with setting up the apprenticeship service account. So that admin side of it. I've got one more slide here, I think. And then also just a bit of the process continued is that there is a little bit of perhaps Stuart from Apex might be able to shed some light on this bit slightly more, but you do need to register to receive funding through the apprenticeship service account. And that involves a few. You need to generate PAYE number, and you'll also need to get the government gateway account number. I think there's a couple of other reference numbers that you could do instead. You'll sign and accept the Education and Skills Funding Agency employer agreement. That sets out the terms for use of the apprenticeship service and sort of the obligations by which the employer is bound, and that will be around offering a good quality apprenticeship and supporting that apprentice. What happens with the funding is that as soon as that apprenticeship is agreed with the training provider and it's agreed by the levy payer, it comes from the levy payer. It comes very quickly into the receiving organisation's account, but then leaves straight away to the training provider. So it does happen very quickly. The receiving organisation doesn't hold that funding. It pings straight out to the training provider. And I think one other statement there is that the sending employer, so when I use terminology, sending is the levy payer, receiving employer is the non-levy payer. The sending employer, so the levy payer, has no accountability apart from committing to the finances side. So this is why they will do their due diligence, but they have no accountability on the quality of the apprenticeship. They're just committing to transferring the funds. So that is a bit there on the process. I think I'm going to come out of my slides now and come back to the panelists. So have I done that? Are you there? Ah, you are there. I lost you, but you'd gone down to the bottom of my screen. Right.
We're here.
Okay, so Claire, and so Angela's not here then, I presume. Let me just check in. Let me just double check in the attendees, because sometimes the panelists end up. Oh, bear with me. Oh no, I can't see her there. Right, okay. So today I'm Angela. No, so Claire, I know you've got some questions there for the levy payer, so I may be able to help. So over to you now, Claire.
Okay, hello everyone. So Angela is from Pitney Bowes, and Caroline, you were involved with a project that Pitney Bowes did quite some time ago, I think.
Yeah.
Could you explain a little bit about who they are as an organisation and what they were looking for when they started the project?
Yeah. So I think I met Pitney Bowes through, I think it was just a networking event. So they are an e-commerce company. I won't go into the huge detail. They do transactions. They're a massive organisation. They're an American organisation. They've got about 12,000 staff worldwide, but their UK operation is head office in Hatfield. I see Stuart gone. And they had quite a lot of levy to transfer, because the reason they had quite a lot, although they could use it for some staff, they're quite specialist organisation. They were finding that they weren't able to really maximise the levy within their organisation, so it wasn't too relevant for their staff and the staff that came into the organisation. So they had quite a lot left over. So we had a meeting and we got in touch and we looked at how where they wanted to transfer it locally, and they were really keen to do work within the education sector.
Okay.
So, and this is why it's quite good working with intermediary, because we are contacted by so many. So at the same time, a brilliant training provider in Stevenage, Sporting Futures, they offer, they're outstanding Ofsted provider. They're one of our real quality providers in Hertfordshire, and they do PE and sporting within education. And they had a problem because obviously this is in the schools don't have much budget, and at the time there was caps on how many apprenticeships you could start as a training provider. I think it was capped at 10, for example. So they needed some levy transfer. So as myself as the intermediary, all we did was connect them together. So that project was really successful. It's a shame Angela's not here to celebrate it, but they transferred nationwide, actually, because Sporting Futures have the PE apprenticeship nationwide, but they had a lot of them were in Hertfordshire. So they transferred budget across to Sporting Futures for a really successful project. And actually, there's a case study on HOP, actually, which you can Google under Apprenticeship Levy to explain. Yeah, but that was that story.
So did you put the two of them together, Pitney Bowes and Sporting Futures? That was your...
Yeah, that was the role, and obviously there was more detail around the connections and the levy, and it was more involved with that. But I think it was quite timely. We get a lot of inquiries from levy payers, and we similarly get a lot of inquiries from small business. So we were really good matching service in the middle. So yeah.
Perfect. And Caroline, you mentioned due diligence checks that companies do earlier. What sort of things would they be looking for?
Well, I probably you might know this better, Claire, but another project we're working on at the moment is organisations in Stevenage. I'm sure they won't mind us mentioning them. So GSK and Airbus are transferring, and they would like to transfer to STEM organisations and local. They could like to go quite local, so they're Stevenage and Letchworth and North Herts based, and also within social care and health. I think they'd like to transfer, or charities, if I'm correct. And so our role in that is again to source relevant employers that GSK or Airbus might like to work with, and then we put these forward to those organisations, Airbus or GSK, and they go through a due diligence, and they look on Companies House, they look at the accounts, they do check to make sure that it's a good quality organisation that they're transferring to, and that the apprenticeship is sort of like a good quality apprenticeship for a member of staff in there who would really benefit from it. So that's the type of due diligence that we're seeing. Is Stuart gone?
I'm still here. I just didn't think everyone wants to mark when you're talking.
I was going to, when you talk to Stuart, Hertfordshire County Council, I've seen they've got, and it's actually a public process. The Hertfordshire County Council's process is on their website, and I know they have a due diligence check as well. But yeah, so you'll find that the levy company do want to find out a bit about the organisation that they're transferring to.
And Caroline, before we move on to Stuart, what are the benefits for the apprenticeship, the levy payers to transfer to other companies? I know you mentioned before about it supporting the 5% for the levy payer, but what else do the companies get out of it?
Yeah, I think from what we've seen of the organisations that have been involved so far is a lot of it is looking at their social responsibility, their corporate social responsibility, their social value in the community, and it's really enabling them to look at that and look at how they can support. And I think they have a role to do that as well. And they'll say this themselves as well. They have a role to be that beacon in their local community, to celebrate apprenticeships and that you know, connecting employers with the local community. So we've seen that from sort of the Airbus and GSK and the work they're doing. Another project we did was there's a company called Viatris. They're a life sciences company, and they got in touch again wanting to transfer theirs, and they worked with a training provider called Rapid Response, who specialized in apprenticeships for the paramedics. So that was really good for Viatris. It showed that they were supporting the healthcare sector. So I think that's a huge side of it, that they wanted to be able to make an impact in their sector, in their community, to underrepresented groups, for example. They want to support their supply chain and businesses in their supply chain. You'll see that within construction, certainly, that they're transferring to subcontractors, for example, to upskill the wider ecosystem around their sector. So I think that's, and then you're not losing money to go into a pot in central government. They know it's sort of making a difference in local areas. So that's what I would say.
Super. Stuart, I'll come over to you now. Would you mind just introducing yourself and telling us a little bit more about your organisation?
Yeah, certainly. My name's Stuart Hunt. I am the director at Apex 360. We're our sports, dance and physical activity provider. Predominantly work in primary schools, although started more recently to develop our products and work with a whole range of different groups, from young to old, or older, sorry. We predominantly work in the Hertfordshire area, mainly South and Central Herts, although we have got a franchise in Middlesex as well.
Perfect. So obviously you just started the apprenticeship. You just started some apprenticeships. Has apprenticeships always been part of your business background, or is this a new thing completely?
Yeah, we did have apprentices before, but we had it at sort of a more of an FE level rather than an HE level. So in terms of at college, so we had a couple of guys placed at college who were working with us, which worked quite well. So we did that through West Herts, which was great and very supportive. But what we were finding, we were looking at trying to recruit more people for Apex, and because of the lockdown, because of COVID, and because of just the dynamics of the industry, we couldn't find people that were of a good enough quality and weren't expecting a significant amount of money to work for us, because coaching's not brilliantly, or sports coaching is not brilliantly paid. It's not bad, but it's not brilliantly paid compared to some of the other sectors. And I think what we were sort of coming up with is that people were able to be drivers for Amazon, is a kind of a very loose term, but for more money, and we couldn't offer them the kind of the package that they wanted to be on in our world. So we went down the route of the degree apprentices, because ultimately the benefit is that they get paid, and also they get their degree paid for, which is fantastic.
So you're saying basically the apprenticeship helped your recruitment issues by also being an added extra to their wages?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you look at it, it's a no-brainer for, I think, a young person to look at degree apprentices, because if you can work at the university 1 day a week, work with an organisation 4 days a week, be paid, and get your degree paid for through a 3-year, 4-year placement, why wouldn't you do that? I think it's a fantastic opportunity. You learn on the job, and also you're in a position where you get a degree at the end of it, and hopefully not a lot of debt, or not as much debt as maybe if you were paying your tuition fees directly. So I think for us, we saw it as well, actually, how many people will apply? And we're probably in quite a good position here, because hopefully we'll be able to really pick out the best. Well, we had 3 in the end, people from 50, 60 that applied, and that was really good for us. So we were able to have some quality personnel come on board.
Oh, that sounds excellent. And with regards to the levy transfer, how did that come about? How did you hear about levy transfer?
So it was all at the same sort of time, really. We were having discussions with the University of Hertfordshire, and obviously I met Caroline and Philippa as well in terms of what we were up to and what we were doing. And we'd had a lot of support from the Herts Growth Hub in the past and the LEP, which has been fantastic. So during lockdown especially, the Cornwall Borough Council were really proactive and let us know that we could seek funding from the LEP and from Herts Growth Hub. And so we had a relationship there, and Caroline knew from previous sort of days within Apex and what Caroline was doing beforehand. So there was a sort of communication, but it wasn't a regular thing. And it just so happened at the time we were putting the degree apprentices together, I saw some HOP advertising going out on LinkedIn, I think it was. So I reached out to Caroline and said, look, we're planning to do this. Is there an opportunity to meet up and just find out a little bit more about how you might be able to help us or point us in the right direction? And so, yes, between University of Hertfordshire and Caroline and Philippa, we were able to understand about the levy.
Oh, that's great. And what has that levy transfer done for you as a company, would you say?
Financially, obviously, it saved us an amount of money between obviously having to pay that levy ourselves. So it just made things a little bit easier. We've got these young people on board, we're paying them a reasonable amount of money, but when they came on board, they didn't have any coaching qualifications. So we've had to upskill them quite considerably. We've pumped, probably about £1,500 in per person in terms of getting them to a situation where they are meeting the minimum operating standards that our industry would seek deliverers to have. And so that money that we invested in them was saved in terms of not having to pay out on the apprenticeship levy. So immediately we were able to invest more into our staff than maybe perhaps we would have been able to do so quickly.
Excellent. So it did really help the process. Do you think you would have had taken on these apprentices if that wasn't available, or would it have changed your thoughts on apprenticeships?
It would. We're in quite a fortunate position, Claire, in that we'd already spoken to a number of different organisations, Heart Sports Partnership being one of them, to see where we would be able to deploy some of our apprentices. And actually, we've been very fortuitous in that we were able to reach out to different organisations, and effectively they're getting experience working for these other organisations as well. So there's a little bit of income coming in. So we were able to cover our costs and look forward to the future. So financially, I don't think it had a massive impact in terms of it would have prevented us from going forward, but I think it helped to speed up the process of investing in those young people, which I think was really important for us anyway. And I think moving forward, obviously, having that levy means that we haven't had to find an amount of money that hopefully we can extend their contracts in the future after their degree placement.
Perfect. So it all sounds brilliant. Has there been any challenges, or has it all been good news and smooth sailing?
No, it was really hard. I'm not going to lie. In terms of the government gateway was okay. I think they're changing the government gateway. I've got an email recently. That was okay. I mean, it was putting out the adverts and also finding the right people. So we, when we went to adverts, we sort of looked at the responses that came in. We were looking for certain things. So had they had experience before? Had they volunteered before? Because I think that's quite a strong one. If they volunteered in organised uniform groups, etc., or to charities or D&V type qualifications, that's almost as valuable to us as their academic prowess. Purely because if they're the kind of people that volunteer and help out with uniform groups, etc., they're the sort of people that have got those people skills and have got those abilities that we're looking for in an Apex coach. I think we also wanted to look at where they were in location to Hertfordshire, because if you're relocating, unfortunately, one of the stoppers for us, or potential stoppers for us, was that the University of Hertfordshire, who we're working with and have been really helpful in the last 2-3 months especially, they don't prioritise degree apprentices in terms of housing. So that kind of cut out quite a few people, because if you're relocating to Hertfordshire and you're looking to be paid the salary we were paying them and wanting to live and have a reasonable living, that's quite challenging because of the rents that people have to pay in Hertfordshire to live. So actually the 3 that we've got are people that live at home still and commute into work locally to us and to the University of Hertfordshire. And that was quite a key thing for me, is that we've had relocations before, and unfortunately they haven't worked just because of the nature of the costs involved in relocating and living in Hertfordshire. Obviously with the cost of living going up, we kind of saw that happening already, and we kind of went, well, actually we need to make sure that we're getting the right people, because we're making a commitment for 4 years here, and so are they. And I didn't want to be in a position where 3 months down the line they're turning around and going, yeah, this isn't for me, because we've got commitments with other organisations, and we can't be seen to be letting other people down. That's just not fair. So I think that was one of our hurdles in terms of location and transferring. But also the other thing is, we didn't have a great experience with the University of Hertfordshire initially. So I was told, oh yeah, we'll put all the adverts out for you, and we'll do this for you, and we'll recruit for you. And actual fact, I had to do it all myself, which isn't a drama. Right. It was just a bit more time consuming. Subsequently,
did you use the portal, Stuart?
Yes, we did. Yeah.
Did you use the apprenticeship portal to put your adverts out?
Yeah.
And was that okay? Did you find that process okay? I know it's probably not as good as your promise, but
yeah, look, it wasn't a hardship in terms of, as long as we knew certain information, which we finally got from the uni in terms of how to link to them, etc. So that there was a bit of a hurdle in that initially, and there was just a lack of communication. I just felt that I was chasing all the time. Fun enough, the personnel have changed at University of Hertfordshire, and I said previously, in the last 2-3 months, they've been exceptional, really supportive. Really helpful, really on the front foot, contacting us before things have happened, and that's been really, really helpful. So I think it was just a personnel thing, unfortunately. Yeah. And we move on. But look, the portal was okay. It was fairly intuitive and fairly easy to use, and it didn't put us off. Let's put it like that. I think the key thing though is that I think they were trying to recruit for 25 places for our particular degree that we're on, and we're the only organisation that actually came to fruition. So I think we're the only organisation with 3 degree apprentices. So there were barriers, and I think the university have accepted that and said, yeah, look, hands up. Because I think they had 20 to 30 different organisations interested. They just weren't able to get it over the line.
No, that's a shame. So the University of Hertfordshire were the training provider. The Hertfordshire County Council were your levy payer, is that right?
That's right, yeah.
And how was that process? Was that part of it easy?
Really simple. I think Caroline kindly had a look through the application that we did and said, yeah, that looks fine, put it forward, and within, I'd say 3-4 days, there was an email back saying, look, we just need to do some checks on you, which is fair. They did that, and they just sort of found out a bit more information, and I think within 2 weeks we were sorted, which was fantastic. So really smooth.
Oh, that's great news. I'm glad that part of it went really well for you as well. Caroline, have you got any other questions you'd like to ask, Stuart?
One point, Hertfordshire County Council, wasn't it? And I think if we've got any levy payers on the call who are interested in starting this and or watching back the recording, then Hertfordshire County Council's process, I think, is live on a website. So they've got, if you just Google on Hertfordshire County Council, or I can put it out in, we'll send an email to you all after. I think they'd be more than happy to share what they've done in terms of the process. So they're a bit of a sort of a showcase around levy transfer. So that's really positive to hear. There is questions. They're not in the main, but I think my colleague sent them only to panelists, and I can't seem to find them now. But there's one that came in around, can the levy payer choose which applicants? And as we haven't got a levy payer here, I do know the answer to that. So I think, well, absolutely, they can do their due diligence and choose which non-levy payers to transfer to. On the government system, it's all done automatically. So if you request to transfer levy through the main government site, then you put in an application, and then the levy payer can reject or accept. So yes, the levy payer can choose who they transfer the levy to. There was another question, which I think has come in from Philippa, but
I can see them actually, Caroline. So one of the questions is, how long does it take to organise the transfer of levy funds? And I think, Stuart, you just clarified that really when you said it, literally when the request has gone in, it was a few days until contact and a few weeks till the funds were transferred. Is that correct?
Yeah.
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 Perfect.
I
And
think,
there's another question, Caroline. Can you see that one?
Oh, no. Can you?
What happens to the funding if an apprentice decides to leave the employer?
Ah, wow. Obviously, you haven't experienced that, Stuart, because your 2 apprentices are still on board.
3 are,
actually, yeah. 3, isn't it? So it would be if the apprentice is not in learning anymore, then the funding to the training provider would stop, and it would stop. At what point? I can't tell you the exact.
I believe it's per year.
Yeah. But yeah, it will be stopped if the apprentice leaves, and the training provider would have to notify the Education and Skills Funding Agency, and at that point the record would be closed off and the funding would stop. So, but you don't see the funding, do you, Stuart? It kind of just
No, it didn't come through to me. It literally went straight to the provider. So I didn't have any sort of sight of it. I just got an email saying yes, it's all been done, and we're all happy. So we all could move on. Yeah.
So that's the relationship between the training provider and the employer as such. But yeah, if that apprentice stops, then that would trigger something on the systems, which means the funding would stop. So lovely, that was really useful, Stuart. Thank you for your time. And Claire, you've done quite a lot, haven't you? I think what sort of has come across that the levy transfer is easy. What's not so easy is the whole area around apprenticeships, and that's in terms of sourcing, training providers, sourcing the right qualification, finding apprentices, getting that job advert out and recruiting and reaching talent. And that's where you invested a lot of time in that, Stuart. And and we can help there, can't we, Claire, in terms of reach?
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. The using the portal is easy once you know how, and that is how you can put an advert out yourself. But we're more than happy to support that process as well as the levy transfer. So don't let it put you off.
No. And then we have through our careers hubs and careers and enterprise company, we have a huge amount of bulletins and social that go out to our young people. So if you've got an apprenticeship advertisement that needs promoting, come to us, because we can get that out either through e-alerts, or we get it directly into the school's careers lead, so they can send with their leaving students, for example. So there are ways and means to get that advert out wider than just the sort of contacts that you have as a business. So yeah, don't get stuck there alone. Yeah, come and talk to us. So I've got a few more slides. So if I just ping up my presentation again. Can you see that, Claire?
I can, yes.
Yep. So what I just want to finish with is a few more bits of information around how to get involved in Hertfordshire with Hertfordshire Opportunities. We have this lovely strapline, Creating Hertfordshire Opportunities. So there's lots of different areas where you can get involved as a business. We've talked about apprenticeships today, and that's one brilliant area which you can offer to your staff or to new recruits. But there's a huge amount more you can offer. That's through any sort of areas of technical education. T-levels are coming. They're coming thick and fast. From next year, September 2023, we'll have a lot more provision and qualifications around T-levels. So watch the space on that. They're a really good way to sort of get your future talent. Offer to work experience, placements, insights. There is so many different ways we can help you to get work experience, young people in. So lots of different projects. We can take the pain away from that, and we can connect you in with local young people who are looking to be inspired by the sectors that you work in. We do a lot around social mobility. Back to the Future is a great incentive around offering a fair wage to apprentices. Again, I've talked about the Careers and Enterprise Company and the Careers Hubs. You can get involved in that in a much more in-depth way by being an enterprise advisor, and that's where you're connected with a school to support the senior management team with their careers education programme. But you can just attend a careers fair, do a webinar, do an employer insight day. There are so many smaller bits that you can do depending on your time as an employer to get involved, to connect with education. Lots of projects, community projects, working with underrepresented groups. Got a brilliant project called Project Positive, which is working with care experienced young people and their transition to work. We do work with disability confidence scheme, and we want lots more employers embracing that scheme and being really confident and accessible when offering, when they've got new vacancies, making sure that goes out and is to as wide representative of residents that we have in Hertfordshire. So lots around the adult education and skills programs. We have loads of funding, different funding pots where you can access to support training in the workplace. So please do get in touch. That's from bite-sized qualifications to more in-depth qualifications. There's lots of funding out there. There's funding out there for leadership management programs at the moment. We have a great pledge where you can pledge to get involved, and that means you can join HOP. My next slide is about HOP, so if I just pop over to that. So yeah, we have a brilliant portal in Hertfordshire. Lots of other regions have come to talk to us about our portal because it's all about connecting our employers with local talent. At its absolute raw form, it will showcase all jobs. We've got about 25,000 jobs at any time going through the portal, apprenticeship vacancies, and also all our courses and qualifications. Oh, I've lost my, just got you back. Can you see the screen still?
Yeah, can still see the screen.
Oh no, I've got it back again. You just popped off my screen there. Right, got my. And then, so yeah, it streams all our live job and apprenticeship opportunities and courses as well. We have this brilliant provider showcase, so that enables employers or residents to look at all the different learning programs at further and higher education, also apprenticeships, and also lots of different skills programs. Our employer spotlight. So as an employer, if you get involved with our Hertfordshire Opportunities programme, that allows you to, for free, to have a showcase page on our spotlight, which basically tells our residents about all the different career opportunities that you have within the business, and just basically enables you to shout about your business. We do a huge amount around sectors. So our sector profiles and our sector work is really defining and celebrating career pathways within our sectors. So currently in our sector pages, we have about 10 we're working in. And if you're involved in those sectors, we've got construction and technology and science and film and media and sports. Sports is coming, hospitality is coming, we've got early years, most of the bigger employment industries in Hertfordshire. Get involved with our sector pages, make sure we're at least linking over to your organisation. And then finally, it's packed full of information and how-tos. Anything that we find out about skills will go onto the portal. So join our e-alerts and our newsletters, follow us on social, and we'll make sure that anything skills related goes through HOP. Finally, and then I was going to ask Matt to say a quick hello. Next steps, basically get in touch, go to HOP. We're going to run a series of webinars because they're a really good way of just getting information across, and they can go on our YouTube channel. So we've got one coming up in January on industry placements. These are the work experience, work placement part of T-levels. We're going to do some more specific focus webinars, and digital skills is a huge area. And we're going to run a workshop with Hertfordshire Constabulary and also Hertfordshire Growth Hub on the 3rd of Feb, focusing on cybersecurity. And then after Apprenticeship Week, I think we will do a nice big showcase event on apprenticeships. I think, let me just come out of here now. So Matthew, before we finish, do you want to say a few words from Hertfordshire Growth Hub?
Yeah, excellent. Thank you. Some really good points there made by you guys about the future growth for for apprenticeships and supporting businesses moving forward. So that's really good to hear that. Just going to take up 30 seconds or a minute of your time just to introduce the Growth Hub and myself to you guys. My name is Matt Clark and I'm the Partnership and the Events Manager for the Hertfordshire Growth Hub. We're led and delivered by the Hertfordshire Local Enterprise Partnership, and we're delivered by a consortium of partners, which is led by Exemplus, which we have the University of Hertfordshire, Hertfordshire Chamber of Commerce, and Visit Hearts. We are the one-stop shop to all your business support needs, and the support and access is free. There are no catches. Some of the things that we can get involved with supporting businesses within Hertfordshire is looking at staff training, innovation and entry to new markets, recruitment and retention of your staff, access to academia and incubation with our partners over at the Hertfordshire University, advice and guidance on funding opportunities, looking at digital skills, digital adoption, etc. Work around regulation and compliance, and workplace and well-being, etc. My role within the Growth Hub is to work with our key partners, our key stakeholders across Hertfordshire, gathering different training programs, support and guidance that we can offer you businesses. So if you're not already connected with the Hertfordshire Growth Hub, my contact details will be sent out via email after this webinar. Feel free to make contact, and if we can support you in any way, we'd be happy to do so. But thank you for Caroline and the team at the LEP for inviting us, and that's a bit from me. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Matt. And you didn't have your camera on, but I can see someone put a note in saying we can just see Caroline.
Sorry.
But that's okay. Well,
sorry.
I'll send her a picture of you through. But yeah, the Growth Hub are brilliant. They really are the one-stop shop for anything to do with business support. And as I said, join their newsletters, Matt, as well, because anything that's going on, anything that's available, an employer will get the monthly update from you, from Hearts Growth Hub, and you can keep tab on all the opportunities that are out
Absolutely.
there. So
absolutely. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, so I think we've come to the end now. Well, actually, that's been nearly an hour. It's 25 past 2. So say thank you. We will send an email out to everyone after. Hi, Claire's back again. To give you links to any sort of information on levy transfer. It's all on HOP anyway, Hertfordshire Opportunities Portal. And I think we're done. Thank you, Stuart was there. Thank you, Stuart.
Oh.
Thank you, Claire, for being MC and hosting the Q&A panel. And we're done. So have a good afternoon. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.